Thanks for having me, and good to see you all again. My name's Joe Corall, and I'm going to be giving a demonstration on a project I've been working on that I've been titling LibOps, and it's running Islandora on Pantheon and Google Cloud. So a little introduction. So yeah, my name's Joe. I'm from Kent, Ohio, United States. I was a Drupal developer at Kent State Library from 2013 to 2021. And while I was there, I launched an Islandora 2 institutional repository that was titled Open Access Kent State. That was launched in January 2020. Leading up to that, I did help contribute some modules that are used in Islandora Core, the REST OAI PMH module I authored, and the Islandora IIIF module I helped author through the community. And right now I'm employed at Pantheon as a staff software engineer on their platform orchestration and services team. That team's responsible for orchestrating the platform that serves Pantheon's 300,000 websites. So that keeps me busy. But in my spare time, I've been trying to find a way to contribute back to the Islandora community. Like I said, it's been a little bit since I've seen you all, but wanted to bring this to the community. This is what I've been working on. It's called LibOps. The idea behind it is I'd like it to be just a one-click install to get your Islandora infrastructure up and running. And if you were to use it, I'd like for the pricing to be simple and predictable and just based off of how much storage you're using and not have to worry about like head counts and like bandwidth usage and things like that, just to keep it simple and predictable. And that those icons here is just kind of what's gonna be powering LibOps. It's Islandora. That's the icon you're all familiar with. The one in the middle is the logo for Pantheon. That will be hosting the Drupal side of the Islandora stack, and then integrates deeply with Google Cloud to run all the Islandora specific things outside of Drupal. So this is what I'm fairly confident this is going to be an accurate pricing model for what will be offered. It'll just be, again, it'll be based off of your storage needs. It'll be free to try. You'll be asked to pay if you ever go live with the platform or if you start using more than 50 gigs of data. So these prices aren't set in stone, but right now, just to give you a ballpark of where I think it'll be at, this is what I think I'll be able to do it for in terms of pricing. So the different pieces of the stack will be one component, a major component will be Pantheon. If you're not familiar what Pantheon is, they provide a platform for Drupal websites. They provide like a development, test, and production site environment for your Drupal site. So Pantheon will be handling Drupal, your MariaDB database, your PHP server, web server, your Solr search index. And then Pantheon also offers a CDN for your site and also host, you'd be able to see your your actual like analytics through New Relic. That's in terms of like the actual performance of your site. It's basically like a debugging tool to help see where your performance could possibly benefit. Then Pantheon also offers tools to keep your site environments in sync. So since you're going to have a development site where you're to be doing most of your work, and then a test site where you do kind of staging to make sure that your development will go into production cleanly. And then your actual production environment, that's where your actual live site will be. And keeping all that data in sync and be able to like transfer between the different environments, Pantheon handles that. Again, the global CDN they offer, that'll help with site performance. And they also have an admin dashboard that'll help. It helps just integrate that workflow. And then what LibOps does is it integrates the Islandora piece for Pantheon. So basically that'll be offset onto Google Cloud. That's where Google Cloud will be used to host all the Islandora specific infrastructure. Right now, if you were to inquire in LibOps, I can promise right now a 2 business day response time, and hopefully I can get that to be better as the company matures. But this is kind of, I'm bootstrapping this in my spare time. So that's what I can promise right now. So as a LibOps customer, if you were to become a customer of the platform, you'd join and you would have an Islandora community supported Drupal install that It basically, what I'm envisioning is like the aisle install, being able to like have that be what you would get presented with. And then if you wanted to extend it, that's where you'd be doing your work, is actually in the Drupal site, and you'd be managing that. But like LibOps would be handling all the basically the hosting side of your site and being able to keep those different site environments in sync. So ideally what an envision is just to spend less time configuring your infrastructure, so you can it would allow your institution to free up time to focus on what's important for your particular needs. And then if, say, you were to join LibOps, and if you ever decided you wanted to leave, you'd always be able to export your code, your files, your database out. And right now, what gets spun up is a Fedora 6 install, which uses OCFL. So you'd always be able to have an export of that as well. So would want to be able to always be able to get your data out, because you would be owning your data. So just to give a brief technical like overview of the infrastructure, it still will be using JWT to like express identity between the services. It does it a little bit different. You wouldn't need to be handling the private keys. What'll happen is LibOps has a service that'll basically take your site environment that's on Pantheon and be able to create, like, tie that with the Islandora specific infrastructure you have running in Google. And it does that with what Google provides are called Google service accounts. And these Google service accounts can create private keys. And so what happens is there's just your Pantheon site gets translated into a Google service account, and that private key gets stored on your Pantheon website. And that key will be rotated every 30 days. So your keys will constantly be getting renewed. And that'll just be happening behind the scenes. That wouldn't be something you would need to manage. That's just something LibOps would provide. And what that GSA key does is it allows your Drupal website to communicate with Google Cloud and its identity infrastructure. And the main interface that'll be happening is between your Pantheon site and a Google Cloud storage bucket. So Google Cloud Storage is what's going to be used to store all your files initially when you first upload them into the system. And so I authored a module called Fly System GCS Cores, and it's an extension of the Fly System for GCS. And what it does is allows you to upload right from your Drupal website to Google Cloud Storage. And you can do that right through your web browser instead of having to go through a PHP server. And what that allows is much larger files to get uploaded directly to your website. And so there's some technical details here about how exactly that works, but that's a key component to how things would be running on LibOps. So what would happen is your Islandora website running on Pantheon would be directly uploading your files to GCS buckets. And similar to how like ActiveMQ, right, that uses a queue, well, that same concept is being done in Google Cloud, but it's using its infrastructure. So it's using what's called Google Cloud events. So that's actually the queue event is actually when the file, or there's also your metadata is going to be uploaded that same bucket. When those get uploaded, that's what initiates these events. And so once that bucket gets written to, that's how all the different microservices know, okay, I need to perform an action. I got metadata for a node, or I got a new file uploaded. That's when it knows then, okay, there's a new file, let's send that file into Fedora 6. And that's all getting handled. It's running on Google Cloud. It's the Docker containers that are in the IO build kit are all just either translated into Google Cloud Run or reinvented with Google Cloud Functions. And so you as a repository administrator, you're mostly going to be interacting with Pantheon, and that's your Drupal website. That's already the brains of Islandora, so that's should be known and familiar. And it'll just you'll basically be uploading to the bucket, and then all the microservices will kind of get handled behind the scenes. And then all your site visitors to your repository would be also just interacting directly with Pantheon. And if there were some files that were on the GCS bucket, they could download. There's an IIF service that they'd also be interacting with, just not directly, but just through the website itself. So that's kind of spoke to in that last diagram. So a lot of the microservices that currently run as basically it's like a PHP web server and then like the business logic for the microservice, they're kind of coupled. What Google Cloud Functions allows is for that to be sort of decoupled. So the Google Cloud Function takes care of the like web server aspect of it, and you can just write code to handle the actual business logic you want to do. So if you want to write a video encoder, or if you want the OCR, or if you want to create image derivatives, you can write logic that just handles that specific aspect and have it run in a Google Cloud Function. So when these events get emitted, that they can perform their action and then interact with your Drupal website to maybe post back your derivative after it gets created off a service file. So this part is the demo. I just want to give a quick overview of, if you're not familiar with Pantheon, just give you a quick. All right. So you should be able to see my Google Chrome browser. We're looking at a LibOps site that's hosted on Pantheon. This is Pantheon's admin interface. So you can see there's a dev environment, there's a test environment, and there's a live environment. The dev environment, it's just a one click to be able to run like Drupal updates, and then you can apply updates right in the browser. So if a new Drupal core release comes out, this is where you could handle it. It just clicks through the browser. And then there's some toggles here to be able to actually go to your website. And so I just have a basic Islandora install here. You can see I have just a company logos. That's just a collection. And then there's 3 image repository items here. So like this Google Cloud belongs to the company logos collection. We can add maybe we wanted to add the logo here. So go ahead and add the media, we can add an image. When I'm uploading the image here, it's posting it directly to a Google Cloud bucket. And so it gets uploaded here. I'll save it as an original file. And then if we go to Google Cloud, we can see that I had this already set up that it's displaying the IIF viewer. If we go to Fedora, it should be in there. One aspect of this is it is running on Cloud Run. So your development environment isn't always running. So sometimes there are cold starts. That's what we're experiencing right now. That's why it's taking a while to load. So it's basically, it's like a turned off computer. And when you go to visit it, it wakes it up. So it has to boot everything up. But in production, that'd be set to be always live and ready to go. It's actually taking a little longer than I expected. Oh, there it is. All right. So yeah, that's just your node. It got synced to the Fedora instance. And back to the Pantheon interface, it's still running an update. You can see we're on the dev environment, but there's also a test environment and a live. And so you're able to say, if I just created that Google Cloud image. If I wanted to sync that into my test environment, I can just go to the database and files. I can clone from different environments. So I can bring in from the development environment into test. I can bring in the database and the files. I ran an update over here earlier. And so that's why on the deploys tab, it's asking if I want to bring in these updates over. I'm not going to do that right now, but just wanted to give a quick demo on like what it would be like interacting with the interface and just kind of where I'm at in terms of the actual integration piece. So let me go ahead and switch back now to the slides. All right. So in terms of roadmap, there's still some rough edges. I don't quite have all the integration into place. I was hoping to have it before this demo and be able to share like in Slack. That's another bullet point here is I'd like to get involved more in the community. I've been kind of outside of it for a while, and I've just kind of been working on this, trying to get like a proof of concept to ensure that this would even work. And now that I'm confident that it will, I wanted to share more broadly and hopefully, get your all's feedback and see if this is of interest to you. And if it's something that would be useful for your institutions. And so this is kind of a roadmap of where some deliverables I'd like to have within the next month or so. And the company, we are seeking any institutions that might be interested in using LibOps. So if you're looking to get in touch, I can be reached here, my email. There's also a website I put up, just a contact form if you want to register. And you just need to register an account and then send like just a basic, or you can just send me my email. And then I'm also on Slack at Joe Corall. So that concludes my presentation. And I thank you all for your time and your attention. And yeah, if there's any questions, be happy to answer.